Hey, fellow Riblets, it's me, Tom from Target Prime Rib. I am terribly sorry. We had a little bit of a mishap, so I am going to send a link for Alyssa to join us. Hopefully, she will see this. Okay, so Alyssa, if you are out there, there's a little bit of a situation with the copy of the link and all that stuff. So I guess sometimes that happens. So we got a few people in here. I saw Rick in here, Keto Amy, and Terry Sue. How you guys doing today? Hopefully everything works out. I'm actually texting with her now, and I'm going to see if I can. Excuse me, everybody. So you might see two of me actually, unless I can do a no. Okay. So I'm going to try something else as well. Okay. I can only enter the studio once, so it's not letting me do. Oh God, what just happened? Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know. I tried to go into the studio from my phone, and it wasn't allowing me to do both, so it kind of canceled it out. Um, we got two comments here. Let me see if I can. Maybe she doesn't realize that I just came on and put it in the chats. Okay. Ah, there we are. Hey, how you doing? Good. I was getting a little worried there for a second, but yeah,
Me too.
yeah. But I was only carnivore worried, so that's good. Yeah. So, thank you again for coming on here. I do appreciate it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
It sounds like there's a little bit of feedback.
On my end,
You know what? Okay. I think I fixed it.
the are you sure?
Yes. Sounds like it.
Okay. All right, it's cool. So, I, right now I'm only following the chats a little bit. I know like there's at least four people in here. I know we have Terry Sue, Rick Charger Mopar, and Rocking Keto Amy, and I think I saw briefly Papa Carnivore. Oh, and Don Schrunger is here. So we got about five people that's in the chats. So it's pretty
Hi,
exciting.
everyone. Yeah.
So I don't know if you know too much about what I do here. I just basically I actually give 2 hours, but doesn't mean you have to take 2 hours. You know, we all have busy lives and stuff. So some people take more, some people take less. Some people take exactly 2 hours. It's really up to you. But I think that everybody has a story and of why they became carnivore, or just a story in general. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be because you're carnivore. You know, I mean, I'm not like dogmatic about it. You know, but basically, what I do is I just give the rein and give it to you, and you just run with it and just tell us your story and just tell us a little bit of what we want to talk about. You know, now if I put my hand up like this or something like that, then that usually means that I found a question and just going to mention the question that's being asked. Is usually what that means. All right.
Okay,
Okay.
awesome. Well,
So
I do have about 1 hour today. I wish I could stay the whole 2 hours, but
that's fine.
just one for today.
That's fine. That's that's immense as it is. So I do appreciate it because I know you do have a pretty busy schedule. Excuse me. And so tell us, you know, tell us in whatever way you want, you know, a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, thank you so much for anybody who's tuning in, and thank you so much, Thomas, for having me on your channel. I am honored that you would ask me to be on here. And so my name's Alyssa. I am a coach with the Steak and Butter Gang, and that's Steak and Butter Gal Bella's group, for those who don't know. But yeah, so I have been struggling most of my life with really bad health. There were certain points in my life where I felt like I was doing pretty good, but it always came back to either chronic migraines, that means 16 or more migraine days per month, or I had chronic back pain from degenerative disc disease, and I had scoliosis. From a very young age, I used to go to physical therapy. From I think I was about 12 when I first started because my back hurt so bad. I also had things like anxiety, depression, and these weren't just little anxiety and depression. These were major life ruining, both. And I was on medications for all of these things. I was on pain medications, migraine medications. I had, depression and anxiety. There were at one point, I think I was on about 16 medications at the same time. And my doctors would say, you're only this old, like whether I was still in my 20s or in my 30s. And they're like, you're too young to be having these problems. You have the problems of an 80-year-old. Um, and then I found out that I was diabetic, type 2. At the time, I was actually going through a divorce. I have 3 kids, and it was just a very, very stressful time in my life where, um, as we know, stress raises the blood sugar, but I was also eating a lot of crap. Like, I was going to Starbucks and I had friends who worked there, so they would hook me up with all the pumps of syrup that I wanted, and I would just get the largest size, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day, just loading my body with sugar, not taking care of myself, and going through that very stressful time. And then my doctor said, you're pre-diabetic and you have a chance to turn it around if you can cut the sugar and maybe start to exercise a little bit. And so I did what I thought was the right thing at the time. I started eating more vegetables. I stopped eating as much sugar. I would really try to limit it. But even with that, I still became fully type 2 diabetic. Um, a few years went by of me just trying to live healthier, exercise. I was very active. But my health just kept declining. It seemed like the more vegetables I was eating, the more I was trying to fix my health with all these plants. And like, I really think I was just poisoning myself with oxalates, looking back on it now. And completely undernourished when it came to meat because I was told red meat is dangerous. You shouldn't have it more than maybe 2 times a week. And definitely don't eat the fat on it because that's going to clog your arteries. So I was terrified. Um, so eventually, I ended up getting so sick, I couldn't keep weight on me. I was eating constantly. I felt starving constantly, and I was just eating all the vegetables I could possibly eat, plus plenty of carbs because I didn't realize those were turning into sugar. And my body just started really breaking down. And then I eventually found out that I had lupus. And so it was actually attacking all of my organs. For those who don't know, it's an autoimmune disease where your immune system starts attacking, your body in some way. And so with lupus SLE, it attacks your organs. And my heart was under attack, my liver, my kidneys, spleen, even my pancreas, every organ, even my skin was under attack. And I was severely underweight. I looked just like a skeleton, and I could barely get up out of bed just to use the bathroom and go back to bed. Um, so it was around that time that I was ready to give up on life. I was having constant panic attacks, and despite being on depression and anxiety medications, and just doing my best to stay alive. I was still in and out of the hospital for months. And they told me, you're just going to have to go on these immunosuppressant drugs. Um, to to save your life. And also tons of steroids, which when I took the steroids, my blood sugar would shoot through the roof. So a lot of the doctors really started to look at me as if there was no hope for me. They basically just started offering me a lot of pain medications to keep me comfortable, to send me home. And I truly believed that I was going to die. And I really think that they thought that as well. I didn't really, I was afraid to make plans for the future, even by a few months, because I truly didn't know if I was going to be alive. And I just remember journaling a lot during that time and writing letters to my kids and my loved ones, just sending them my last wishes, leaving them with whatever I wanted them to remember me by. Um, so, I actually had a plan to not live very longer because I was tired of suffering and I didn't want to drag it out too much longer, Sorry to be getting a little emotional, but I just didn't want, I knew my kids were tired of seeing me that way. And so I just thought, you know what? I know which drugs the doctor told me not to mix. And so I know what to do if I'm just ready to end it. And that was my plan. And then I ended up writing in my journal, okay, I'm going to just try one more thing. Just one last thing. It's crazy. It's probably not going to work. But if this doesn't work, then I'll go through with my plan. And that one crazy thing was carnivore. So I started eating just meat and a little bit of dairy, some chicken, and a little bit of fish. And I mean, within 3 days, I felt like that severe, heavy depression and anxiety started to lift. Within a few weeks, I felt like I was ready to actually, wean down off of my medications because I was that much better. I had hope. My strength was returning. I was able to get up and cook for myself for short periods of time. I had to have a stool in the kitchen that I sat on while cooking, but at least I was able to do that. And just little by little, I came back to life. And it happened in so like just so quickly. So as of today, I'm still working on putting lupus into remission, but I'm able to get up and move around and go to the grocery store and not ride in one of those little rolling carts. I'm not on any medications. I'm not having any back pain at all. Like all that chronic back pain I had my whole life is completely gone. Um, I also, that severe anxiety, like I'm here talking to you guys. I just recently got on an airplane, walked through airports to get on a plane and fly to Montana for a meetup. And I survived it. I spoke on stage there. So carnivore really has brought me back to life. And I tried everything else. I tried eating healthy. I tried eating, with the vegetables, and I even went vegan for a few days, but I was very plant-based for a number of years and it was killing me. So anyway, that's my story in a nutshell, and here I am almost 2 years on carnivore.
That's oh my god, that's amazing. I knew parts of your story, but I never knew. I mean, you're definitely amazing. Um, so I put there was two questions that came up in the chats. Both of them, the two of them are sort of the same, but then there's one that Rockin' Keto Amy and Juliet Marie asked about becoming a carnivore coach, like when and stuff like that. And then Julia Marie says, how did that come about? And you greeted me on my very first carnivore call months ago and made me feel so welcome. Thank you for that. So I thought you'd like to hear that, that
Yeah.
your kindness always goes far with everybody. So we got a few other people in here. I don't know if you know Scooby the dog, Ellen. Um, she's been on with Mitch mostly, and Lash, Carnivore Retreat is in the
Okay.
chats right now. So I think you've heard of Lash. I'm sure, like on Carrie's
Yeah,
channel.
I saw him on your channel once, and then he was on Bella's channel recently, right?
Yeah, and I think he might be. I don't know if he's actually in SBG or not. He might. I know he's in. I know he's definitely in Kilts, but I'm not sure about SBG. So
Cool. Well, to answer the question, when did I come become a carnivore coach? Um, I don't know the date. I should look it up. But I was
it wasn't too long
basically
ago. It was
training
recently.
to become a coach for like the last year.
Yeah.
I was coaching alongside Coach Raymond and Coach Rochelle in SBG for about the last year.
So what made you decide to become a coach? Like, just because you were working with them and decided to go to the next step, or like how did that come about?
Yeah, well, so during this time that I was really, really sick, I really don't have family that supports me in any way. They don't keep in touch with me. They're very religious people, and because I decided to divorce somebody who was abusive, they basically disowned me. So I had zero family. I had maybe two friends. And so when I joined SBG, they truly became my family and friends. It was really the only people that I had to talk to, and especially about what I was going through. Because if you talk to anybody else on earth in my real life and tell them I'm living off of just meat and I'm trying to heal myself without medications, like nobody wants anything to do with that type of person.
Yeah.
So I was in SBG, like steak and butter gang, every single meeting, almost, 7 days a week. I was in there just connecting with other people, and that was like my lifeline. And after over a year of being in SVG, I had learned a lot about my own health and just hearing other people's journeys. And so I became one of those members who is helping in the chat, like if somebody asks a question and the leaders of the meeting don't have time or they don't see it, I was helping a lot. And it just became a passion of mine to go in the chats and even on YouTube comment sections, like Facebook groups, anywhere I could. I just wanted to help people. Like anybody had a question, I would spend, you know, any any few minutes that I had out of my day, I was spending giving advice to people on, try this or try that. And sometimes I would go back and forth with these people for days, just trying to help them work through their troubleshooting and stuff. So eventually I just realized like I would love to become a coach and just do this full time. And so I asked Bella, like, do you know how I could go about being a coach? Like, what's the first step? And she actually thought I was asking if I could coach with SBG, even though I wasn't. I was just asking in
You're just
general, how do I
in
become a
general,
coach?
right?
Yeah, and
That's
so she
cool.
was like, "Oh, I'm so happy you want to coach with us. Let me talk to Coach Raymond about it." And I was like, "Oh, cool." So it just happened, it just happened organically. And of course, I had to get a certain number of hours with Coach Raymond and Coach Rochelle of us coaching together, and then I started coaching on my own.
I can definitely say that you're doing pretty good. So,
Oh,
um,
thank you.
yeah, no problem. I mean, I know I don't really go there as often as I was, but just so many things have happened. I'm just getting so much more busier. But I'm
Yeah.
actually training to be a coach on Kilt's coaching
Yay!
program. So,
I'm excited.
so I don't know if the method is the same, but they're both called coaching, and I'll get a certificate after I'm done and everything. So I don't know where
Oh,
I'll go because it depends on who wants me. You know. So yeah,
that's incredible. I
thank
can't
you.
wait.
Yeah. So
And it's great that you already have your own YouTube channel, so you're already putting yourself out there. So I'm sure you'll be getting, some YouTube subscribers reaching out to you for coaching once you have that title.
yeah,
It'll just come easily to you.
I mean, I just want to be able to also not only that, but I just want to be able to so then people aren't like, well, who is he? If like I have a little certificate behind me, then people may listen a little bit to some of my wisdom, even if it's only like that much, and listen
I'm
like,
sure you'll
okay,
have
this
more than
guy's this
that
guy's
much.
this guy's been through some things, so maybe we should listen a little bit to him, like he's but um,
Yeah.
I mean, I have to say, out of SBG, my the people I talk to the most would probably be you, Dr. Phil, and Lindy are the people I talk to the most outside of the chats. Like in the private messaging and stuff like that. I've talked to Bella a couple times, but I think you're actually the most. I think you're like top person, but I've talked to Lindy a few times, and Dr. Phil gives me a lot of medical advice, or not medical advice, but advice that a doctor would know, basically.
Right.
But not
Yeah.
my doctor, if you know what I mean.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this is
So,
really cool, you know. So I'm
yeah.
trying to get some question and answers from people
Oh,
and
that's okay.
everything. So,
Well,
um,
Thomas, you recently had some really low blood sugars. Did you already announce that to your following here on YouTube?
about my new A1C, yeah, it's been
Yeah.
put on the videos and everything. Yeah,
Okay.
they should. If they
So,
don't know, then they're not paying attention. But
so
it's
you're officially in the pre-diabetic range now, right? You're no
yes,
longer considered a diabetic.
yes.
Okay.
Now I kind of go with the school of Russ from Homesick Buckeye and semi-retired Bob, and I think Dr. Nelson, that technically diabetic is diabetic. So like I still consider myself the diabetic range. Like I know that society makes me pre-diabetic, and I'm great for
Mhm.
that. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but I I do believe that when we kind of a lot of people when they say pre-diabetic, they kind of like dismiss it, and I'm just saying I'm not dismissing it.
Oh, yeah.
I still am pre-diabetic. I'm still far to go, but at the rate I'm going, I would not be shocked if my next test will be where I'm in remission and I'm out of it.
Yeah.
So this person, Danielle Bowman, just joined in.
Danielle.
You know,
Hi.
Hello,
Aw.
Danielle. Great for you to
So
be here.
glad
I
you
guess
could
it's
make
her first time here, so obviously she's here for you.
it.
So,
I did invite her, so I'm so glad that she came. Hi,
okay.
Danielle. She's another Steak and Butter Gang member who
And
we
she has
love
such a
here.
bubbly personality
I
that,
know.
you
She's
know, I
always
mean, I don't know if you
smiling.
agree with that, but I just think that like, every time she talks on the SBG gang, she just lights up the room. She's a very nice, very.
So true. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many people out there. And, like, I'm so grateful that you're willing to tell your story. Like, I always expected to be able to have some people on, but to have such um, big people, such big kahunas.
Like
Like next week,
Carrie,
I have Carrie Mann on.
that's
So
amazing.
yeah, um, you know, and I figured that you'd only have the 1 hour to work with but the reason why I give the 2 hours is because I just feel that some people's stories are just so vast
Yeah.
that some people just need, like, I had on a few weeks ago or 2 weeks ago. I'm so bad with timelines. Um, Helen, um, from All for Carnivore. Oh yeah, yeah, All for Jesus Carnivore, and
Oh,
um, and
yeah.
she was on for like two hours and 20 minutes. Because she has so much energy, so much story to tell.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for. So, I mean, like I keep on saying, if anybody wants to give me an email or whatever or message, actually, I never even did an email with you. It's always been the texting or the messaging, which is kind of strange that
Mhm.
we never exchanged emails with all this going on. But
Mhm.
Lash is going to be on the week after Carrie. He's going to be on this month on the 29th, so we're going to see Lash on here. So,
So,
and I have Caleb coming on, and Russ from Homesick Buckeye is going to be coming on, and I also got an interview with Dave Mack.
oh,
So,
wow.
for once, I'm turning the tables on Dave Mack. Instead of him interviewing me, I'm interviewing him.
That's crazy. Look at you. I'm so happy for you, Thomas, that
Thank
like
you.
you've stuck with this YouTube thing and that your channel is growing and like look at you just being so bold to like invite these people on. That's amazing.
It's a scary thing, but I mean, what's the worst that'll happen? They say no.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
I had one no so far, and it's more like a not right now type thing, you know.
Hmm.
But so I don't think it's really a no. I just think that it's a right now he's just dealing with some stuff and some political stuff or whatever, and he just can't right now. So
Yeah.
you know,
Wow.
and Rick just said that he's next. After
Mhm.
the interviews that slow down. Hopefully they won't slow down, Rick, and we'll have you on here. You know, um, yeah. I mean, I still get a little anxious about things like you were saying about like going on a plane. I was a little when I went to Boston. I was a little anxious about going on the train. Like even though I've been on a train before, there were just things like okay, this is and I still had to deal with some things like the one train, the platform was on the ground, so I had to climb up these big steps, and they were like about this high up with my baggage, and I had to like pull myself up, and that worried me a little bit. And then and going out, the distance between the platform and the train itself was like about this far. So I had to jump it. So I ended up just throwing the suitcase across the thing, and I was just like, okay. And I told the one guy, I said, pull me in, so some stranger that I had no idea who they were. you just have to do whatever. And then I never taken the Long Island Railroad at all, so it was a new experience. And I just found out today that Syracuse is going to be in June, the Syracuse trip. So I think I'm going to do that because I can save for it. I have more time, and what I'd like to do is take an Amtrak
Hmm.
and do like kind of like
Yeah.
one of those like restaurant cars and stuff like that. So I might do like an extra couple days so I can like really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, me and my 19-year-old daughter were actually recently talking about how we've never rode a train before. And it's like it's on our bucket list of just something to do, you know. So um maybe one day we can. Oh, I see this question. What is
So
the
yeah, what is
definition
the
of a
definition of
coach?
a goal of a coach?
Um, well, it's basically just somebody to help guide you. Like a lot of people, they're not really the community type of people. Most of us are able to hop into like an online community and navigate the website and come to the meetings, um, and raise our hand in the Zoom calls and ask questions and try to find, like, extract out of all that information what we need for our health. But there's a lot of people, most of the people who come to me for coaching, they're just really not, they don't have the time for that, or it just confuses them too much, or maybe they've just been listening to too much advice and they just need somebody to go, okay, let me listen to your situation. Tell me all your health history. Tell me everything you're going through. And let me help you come up with the best plan for you going forward. Like how much to eat every day, what times to eat every day, what types of foods, and maybe some supplements, some other things too, like how much exercise should you do at different phases in your carnivore journey. So I'm just a guide, just a little helpful friend. Oh, well, Danielle, yes, I do have a 19-year-old daughter, but guess what? I also have a 22-year-old son and then a 14-year-old daughter. So I'm 40. I'll be 41 in just a few months. But thank
Wow.
you for saying I look young.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to my sister's house, which I love my sister, I love my brother-in-law, love all my niece and nephew. But I always get a little nervous because they don't do carnivore, and trying to explain to them what I'm doing and get them to fully understand with the full family of like 12 people is a little problematic. So sometimes it's just easier for me just to be like, okay, today I'm just not, I'm going to just fall off the rails and I'll get right back on as soon as I go home. And
Yeah,
we're celebrating my niece's 21st birthday. So um, I have no idea what the food's going to be. It might not even be edible for me in the carnivore sense. And I
yeah,
figure there's going to be some cake for a 21st birthday party. So I don't know. I'm a little worried, but I know I'm going to I'm not worried about getting back on. I'm just more worried about, like, okay, how much is it going to affect me? So
yeah. It could cost you a major blood sugar spike if it's
it,
the wrong thing.
it could. But the thing is one of the good things about it is I have the CGM and I have my phone and everything like that, so I can just set the alarm to go off. So then they'll get a little worried, and they'll be like, "Why is your alarm going off?" Well, because you're feeding me food that's raising my blood sugar. That's why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you maybe talk to them ahead of time and just make sure, like, hey, is there going to be a meat dish that won't have any carbs mixed into it or something?
Hmm.
Because you
I
never
could
know.
probably
Like,
say I could probably say something, but I have to be a little tactful. I guess you could say. You know. I mean, I'm just going to go there and have fun. I actually am fasting right now. So I've been trying to fast, but I've been just having a hard time. Like, it's just, every time I try to fast, I kind of go into a like I kind of like like even the mention of food just gets me hungry, you know. So far so good. I've lasted for about 12 hours so far, or a little bit more. So actually more than 12 hours, more like 18 hours. But you
Wow.
know, so I'm trying to do that. I think what was making me nervous about fasting too was working. Like I didn't feel comfortable working like even the 4 hours, like working a 4 hour shift and fasting the day. You know, I kind of felt like I needed the food to get my energy up. But I think for healing, because I've been dealing with, I don't know if you know this or not, but still dealing with a really bad cough and everything. So I've been trying everything. I gargle with salt water. I even actually there's one thing I did cheat on a little bit. I actually had some cough drops,
Uh-huh.
and unfortunately, I chewed on one of the cough drops. I have like a I don't know what you call it. There's a term for it actually, where you tend to like every time you have hard tea, you tend to chew and you try
Mm.
to break it, you know, with your. And have been doing that since I was like 5. You know, it's just bad habit. And
Yeah.
I chewed
I
on one
used
of
to
the
have
cough.
that problem.
Yeah, I chewed on one of the cough drops and I broke my tooth. So it's
Oh
like all
man.
jagged edge in there. And I called the dentist. This is the freaky thing. I called the dentist and the dentist's office because I go to a clinic. So I tried getting, you know, it's like a student dentist. And they said that my situation is not important enough to rush to do like an emergency visit. So the next time they can see me is September. Meanwhile, I
Oh
have a
wow.
jagged tooth in my mouth, scratching my tongue every time I like cough and you know and stuff. So you know, it's a little annoying. You know, it makes you like distrust the dentist even more, like distrust the doctors even more because it's like okay, so you know, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking to myself like. There's a better way to tell me this. You know, you could just been like, "Oh, the dentist is, you know, I'm terribly sorry, sir, but the dentist is full. He doesn't have any openings until September." To actually tell me that I'm not important enough to rush, you know, to do a visit is kind of problematic in a way if you think about it. It's like
Yeah. I
it's
bet if you would have said like that it's hurting you, it's causing you pain, then they would probably get you in
maybe.
sooner.
I mean, according to her, she said the only thing they'll rush in is like a head blunt trauma, like you know, like if I was in a car accident, then they would have rushed it in. And I thought to myself, I'm like, this is the question I asked. You know, I didn't ask her any questions, but this is the question I asked myself. If I was in a car accident, okay, which place would you go? Would you go to the dentist's office or would you go to the ER?
Yeah, I was a little confused about that. I'm like, wait. Okay, I guess she's saying if you got in a car accident and like knocked all your teeth out or something, maybe, but
I would still go to the ER, you know?
true.
No matter how
True.
you look at it, I would go to the ER. but
Wow.
but some people are just, you know, I mean, this is. I mean, she's technically not. I mean, she's not really. I mean, she might have been a nurse, but I think she's more of a receptionist. So, you know,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm hoping most doctors are a little bit more tactful. That they, you know, don't really say idiotic things, but you can't really predict everybody. And
Yeah, you never
and if
know.
she's not carnivore, she's definitely going to say idiotic things, you know, because only carnivore has that brain capacity to think ahead of time, you know. So, so
Yeah.
I'm not really seeing too many questions in the chats. I'm seeing different comments and things. Um, oh, what program did you go through for? Did you mention that? What program you went through? Like,
Yeah, so I just trained with SBG through their program.
okay, so
So
you did pretty much mention you worked with Raymond and you worked with
yeah,
Coach Rochelle. Which one is better, Coach Raymond or Coach Rochelle? And I won't
oh
tell
God,
him.
they are
What's
apples and oranges. You just can't compare them. Like
yeah.
Coach Raymond and Coach Rochelle, they coach so differently, and that's why I was just so blessed. And I also studied under like well, I studied how So Rebecca Heichman, she was had a small coaching group that she was doing. It was
Hmm.
called the Women's Intensive. And so I was able to sit in on those and also learn from her style of coaching as well. So
Okay.
I'm blessed to be able to see like what coaching looks like from three different people and find my own style of coaching through that. And it really did give me permission to not like if you're just studying under one coach and just training with them, there's kind of you kind of like feel the pressure to coach exactly like them.
Yeah.
So I just feel like I learned from all three of them and I have my own way of coaching. So,
Yeah.
but
I'm kind of surprised that there's a reason why I'm saying this. I'm kind of surprised you didn't like kind of like shadow Phil, Dr. Phil, because even though he's not a coach, and I
mhm.
get that, the knowledge that he has probably would help out too. You know, I would think.
Well, he doesn't do anything for me to shadow. Like he just other than just
That's
the meetings,
true.
which I
That's true.
had, you know.
I just think he'd be an amazing person to, you know. Um,
Yeah. Well, he is a wonderful resource that he's made himself available to all of us coaches. So he's even said if there's ever a medical question, you either tell them, like, go talk to your doctor about it, or you can, come to me and ask. And so that's what we do. Typically, we have a team chat, just it's a group chat between Dr. Phil and us coaches and Bella and everybody on the team. And so anytime there's a medical question that we aren't sure about, we just post it in the chat and then he gets to it when he's able to.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, like I have to admit, like one of the reasons why I want to do the coaching too is, and I guess I sort of mentioned it, but you know, I wouldn't hurt to mention it again. Um, is I just want to be more than just the guy that's, you know, like just there. I want to be more involved, and I've mentioned that before to Bella. I mentioned that to Carrie, you know, and Alia. So like right now, I'm pretty involved with Kilts as a moderator, but there's so many of us. It's not really anything big. I just, you know, I just like to be involved more, and someday I will be, you know. And I figure the
Yeah,
coaching will help with that, and
for sure.
everything. So, and I one of the things that I know I'll do, but I'm like, like being able to go up on stage and talk in front of like a lot of people. Like right now, I kind of do it, but it's like I don't really see everybody. You know, it's just me talking to words, and every once in a while people come on here, but it's
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the same as seeing like seeing a room of like 100 to 200 to 300 people and talking about my story and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
we all do it, right? Eventually. So,
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you really have, I hope you don't ever underestimate the impact of your story. You're such an encouragement, and that's why we talk about you so much, and we, ask you to share in the Zoom chats in SBG because it's so encouraging to people like our friend Miniwa, who, she came in and the blood sugar's through the roof and probably thinking there's not much hope for that. And then we have Thomas just a few months ahead of her and now in the pre-diabetic range in your A1C. Like it's such an amazing, powerful testimony. And it's something that doctors would tell you is not even possible.
oh
So,
god, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
I actually, and you sort of said this when you were telling your story before. Um, I had a fear that I wasn't going to be living much longer either. Not really so much with the diabetes, but with the neuropathy, because I made the mistake of asking Google a question. And I asked Google, because my brother, you know what happened was I was having a hard time getting up off the floor, and because my back was so bad and I just couldn't move, you know. And my brother-in-law said to me, and maybe this gave me an inspiration. My brother-in-law said to me that if you can't get up off the floor, that means you're dead, right?
Oh,
So, and I knew what he, you know, I knew that, you know, so I asked the question on Google, and I would, for some reason, I didn't ask for the diabetes. I asked for neuropathy. Like when somebody has neuropathy and they're at that point of losing their, you know, like losing their limbs or losing their digits. I like to call my toes digits. Um, how long is the lifespan? And it pretty much said about 6 years. So
um,
I already had neuropathy probably for at least five. So I'm thinking like, okay, my time's almost up, you know, and it's probably why became. I've always been carnivore on and off, like I mentioned, but I think that just knowing that was like kind of the trigger to be like, okay, I got to be like a lot stricter here, you know. And I still have some indications of why I kind of go off and on. But my time span is a lot. You know, I mean, out of the almost 7 months, if I cheated, I might have cheated like at moments, like maybe four times. You know, and that's including going to my sister's house for Easter. You know,
wow.
so, you know, and I'm not dogmatic. I'm not those people that say like, oh, if you get off like for 2 seconds, you're on it, you're off it fully, and you're no longer carnivore. That to me, that's stupid. You know, like, you know,
Yeah.
every once in a while we have our moments, and you know, I think those people that say stuff like that is like really just looking for views on YouTube, and they're not even like really serious themselves. They're just like they just want to make, you know. And like even Bart K says that carnivore is really 70% meat, you know, animal based in meat, and then the other 30% is like just other things, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, so like I always try to tell people that if you are having an occasional vegetable, that doesn't make you not carnivore. If you're having the
Right.
occasional vegetable, now if you have a salad every day and you have like maybe 10% meat, then yeah, okay, you're not a carnivore, okay? But you know,
Well, and it's, the only time that I get picky about that kind of thing is when people are trying to blame carnivore for their problems
oh
and they're
yeah,
like, "Oh, I did carnivore for 3 months and my A1C went up and my this and that and or I, gained all this weight." I mean, it is an important distinction to go, okay, what were you eating? Because if you were including all these other things in there and now you're trying to blame carnivore for your downfall in some way, then
right.
that's not really accurate. But
Yeah.
if you're
And I
mostly
agree with
eating
that.
carnivore,
I agree with
it's
that.
like,
You know, yeah, but
yeah,
if like this is just something you do normally, but I don't do it normally. I eat 100% meat. My meals are like usually burgers with some butter, some eggs, some bacon. Actually, lately I haven't done. I have gone off the Lion diet. I for some reason people. It might have even been on SBG, but there were people on there talking about pepperoni and cheese, and I just all of a sudden had a hankering for pepperoni. So I was like, okay, fine. So I'm a firm believer that if you have a really bad hankering for something, sometimes the easiest way to do it is just to have it so you don't like binge on it. You know, you just have like one bite and that's it. And unfortunately, the pepperoni was, I guess I really wanted pepperoni. I guess my body was like, hey, I need pepperoni. So I don't know why, but it just happened that way. But I'm going to probably go back online. But right now, I'm just going to try to do fasting, but I don't know for how long. I'd like to do for at least a day, but I might try to go longer and see how I do with fasting at work. I'm going to work in 2 days. I actually called out sick today, I'm feeling much better, but I actually was really sick this morning. So,
Well,
like I've been kind of on and off sick, and this morning I was really bad, like
oh,
throwing up and everything. So,
hmm.
which I'm better now, and like when you're my age, I guess sometimes that happens, and it's like okay, whatever. But
Oh,
so I'll definitely go to work in 2 days, and for me, I don't really the money doesn't really matter to me that much, so I don't really need to fill in the space, but. Um, not yet. And Dr. Phil asked me like, why am I not working full time? I told him, I said, well, I don't really want to lose my benefits yet. So, you know, but eventually, and plus two, working full time. Like right now, I'm so into this, what we're doing right now, that if I work full time, I would probably have to give this up. So I just can't do both. It's just not in my wheelhouse, not yet. So. Um, it's all good. Everything is excellent. So,
yeah,
you know, like it
it's
would
great.
either be I'd have to get this up, or or I'd have to give up going on all the other channels, like going into the clubs, you know,
Yeah,
and because as great as everything is, I mean, everything does have a certain time and everything like that. And I think I mentioned to you that I actually am on 3 different groups. So, I
yeah,
mean, the first group
that's
I was in was Carrie,
hmm.
and then you guys, and I've mentioned this before, and I hope it's okay because I'm so happy about it and so like thankful. But you guys actually gave me the comp membership, which I was like, oh my god. So I mean, that told me that you guys liked my story really a lot, you know. But
You, Thomas. We had a meeting about it, and so it's not something that they're able to just give out, countless memberships
of
to.
course not.
We have to have a team meeting about it, and we all have to be in agreement. And it was like all in favor, and every hand went up. So,
Oh my
of
god,
course.
thank you.
Yeah.
It's and then Kilts, I'm on with him. So and then I also a member of Mitch, Old Guy
Oh,
Carnivore.
and are you
So
still in Healing Humanity?
yeah, I'm still healing humanity.
And Nia, are you still in Nia's
I
group?
never, I don't, I never really joined her membership. I mentioned on a thing that I was thinking about it,
Uh-huh.
but I think Nia does a lot of like the exercises and stuff, and I'm not saying I can't do exercises. It's just some days it's like the old saying, like sometimes you eat the bear, sometimes the bear eats you. Well, that's how it is with exercises for me. So I just didn't think the point in really joining. I still go on I still like go to her lives and say hello and stuff like that, but I just didn't think I to actually spend money to do a membership. I just didn't think that was really effective. But yeah, like I'm trying to, but I'm also trying to invest too. Like I actually upgraded this particular, the Evox, so then I could actually do better lives and stuff like that. So I pay like a monthly fee for to be able to get these lives in and stuff. And I did lesson. I was doing them every day, and I don't know if you ever seen it. Well, yeah, you've seen my lives. That's a stupid question. Because I see your name in the chats all the time, unless somebody's
Yeah.
pretending to be you.
No,
But
I try to drop in as often as I can, even if I can't stay. I try to,
well, have you ever
sometimes I
have you ever seen like in the on my channel like how long these lives can be sometimes?
yeah, there's been times that I saw that you were on and I was like busy for several hours, and later on I was freed up and I went to go watch the replay and you're still on. I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah, I think the longest I've done is like 4.5 hours, almost 5 hours. It's the longest. But the thing is what people don't realize is when I'm by myself, right? Then the lives will they'll probably last for about an hour. I try to do at least an hour. But
Yeah.
when I'm with other people, they can go on longer, and it takes the other people, it takes that conversation, and I do get annoyed. I do get like like a few weeks ago I got upset because people were talking over me when I was trying to talk, and you know and everything. But the thing is, I think just being on these lives is exciting for everybody. It's not just exciting for the host, it's exciting for you know like I remember my first panel that I was on was Mitch,
Mm-hmm.
and I was nervous as anything, but
Yeah.
and each time, and then the second one was Russ, homesick Buckeye, and it just keeps on going, and but yeah, you try to be on your best behavior. Like, I'm just gonna stay quiet and just say hello, basically, and that's it. But I'm not gonna, if I have something to say, I'll just make sure they can hear me, type thing. But this whole world is like so immense, and like I keep on asking, not just in my weight, not just in my diabetes, not just in my health, but I keep on asking, how much more can this experience? What's the next outcome? What's the next thing to happen? Like for you, you think about it. Your next thing was to become a coach.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the question I have. Like, how far this is going to go? Is it going to be where I'm going to be asked to go, speak at different events, or is it going to be where my lives become really good? Or am I, like, sadly, am I hitting my Peterson effect? Which I don't know if you ever heard of the term Peterson effect or not. Peterson
No.
effect is where you hit a level, right? Say, like, you have a job, right? And you can go as far as you want, but there's always that level that you're super good at. And that's really where your comfort zone is. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, if, like, give an example. So say you're in a business, right, and the top level is district manager, but
Mhm.
you're a lot better at being a manager. Like, the travel and everything like that just is not for you. So you become a district manager. You realize you didn't really like it as much, so you go back to being a manager, and you realize your Peterson effect is your level of management.
Hmm.
So
Interesting.
yeah. So so you kind of wonder, like, some people. I mean, I'm sure it goes with any kind of field. Like, some people are the best nurses, but when they become doctors, they're not always the best doctors. Like, it's just as far as you can
Yeah,
go. You know,
makes sense.
or the other way around. They're the best doctors, but they were lousy nurses.
True. Yeah, it could be.
You know.
Wow. Well,
Well,
yeah,
it's
you
about
never know.
time. Yeah, it's about time. So I'm going to end the live now, out of respect for your time. So,
Thank
everybody, I'm so glad you guys came in. I'm so glad that Alyssa was here. So, I'm going to end with my normal ending, and I will see you guys. I'm not sure if I'm going to be on tomorrow, but I will definitely try to be on for Thursday. If I am on tomorrow, you guys will get the announcement. So, live, love, and heal. And for God's sakes, everybody, eat some meat.
you.